Welcome back into ASEAN Interview. Now we take a look at a new era that's unfolding between North Korea and Vietnam, especially seen when the leader of North Korea had visited Vietnam to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump. He stopped by at important locations to not only pay respect to Vietnam's heroes, but he also took his method of transportation to show a symbolic kind of friendly relation with Vietnam as well.
ใช่แล้วค่ะการเยือนกรุงฮานอยประเทศเวียดนามของผู้นำสูงสุดของเกาหลีเหนือนายคิมจองอึนนะคะนอกจากจะไปเจอกับนายโดนัลด์ทรัมป์ประธานาธิบดีของสหรัฐอเมริกาในสุดยอดการประชุมทรัมป์คิมซัมมิตครั้งที่2นะคะนอกเหนือจากนั้นประเด็นสำคัญที่เกิดขึ้นคือความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างประเทศเวียดนามกับเกาหลีเหนือซึ่งรายละเอียดจะเป็นอย่างไรไปติดตามได้ในอาเซียนอินเทอร์วิวค่ะ
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un attended a welcome ceremony hosted by Vietnamese President Nguyen Phu Trong in Hanoi Friday, March 1st, followed by bilateral talks a day after a second summit with U.S. President Donald Trump collapsed over sanctions. The two sides gave conflicting accounts of what happened, raising questions about the future of their denuclearization negotiations. Trump said 2 days of talks had made good progress in building relations and on the main issue of denuclearization, but it was important not to rush into a bad deal. He said he had walked away because of unacceptable North Korean demands. But North Korean Foreign Minister Ri Yong-ho told a news conference Friday, hours after Trump left Hanoi, that North Korea had sought only a partial lifting of sanctions related to people's livelihoods and unrelated to military sanctions. During his time in Vietnam on Friday, the North Korean leader also met with Vietnam's Prime Minister Nguyen Quang Phuc and National Assembly Chairwoman Nguyen Thi Kim Nhan. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on Saturday laid wreaths to pay respect and tribute to fallen soldiers at the War Heroes Monument, as well as to Vietnam's former leader Ho Chi Minh at his mausoleum in Hanoi before leaving the country. Kim was in Hanoi for a second meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump. It was cut short after they failed to reach a deal on the extent of sanctions relief North Korea would get in exchange for steps to give up its nuclear program. The collapse of the summit leaves Kim in possession of what analysts say could be an arsenal of 20 to 60 nuclear warheads, which, if fitted to its intercontinental ballistic missiles, could threaten the U.S. mainland. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or DPRK, top leader Kim Jong-un's visit to Vietnam is a sign of the changing times and shows how successfully the DPRK has worked to rehabilitate its image. This comes from a research analyst at Stimson Center in the United States. Kim, chairman of the Workers' Party of Korea and also chair of the State Affairs Commission of DPRK, paid an official visit to Vietnam earlier Friday. It's the first time a DPRK top leader has visited Vietnam in 55 years. Jenny Town, also the managing editor of the 38 North website, which analyzes events on the Korean peninsula, had attached great significance to this visit. She has this to say.
Well, certainly there are plenty of models that North Korea has been looking at and plenty of lessons for them to learn. I think, the biggest lesson that they have to try and figure out is how to get ahead of the system rather than being behind and trying to pull things back. So instead of being adaptive to how to manage that change, but they really have to make some very decisive strategic changes in order to do that. And I think we've seen some signs that Kim Jong-un is willing to, but is still holding back for the how do we maintain control throughout this process. Well, already, they've talked about normalizing their economic relations and trying to improve. They've had a little bit rocky relations over the past decade or so. And so I think all of the ASEAN countries are really looking now as to how to pull North Korea into the mix and how to help them in that process. Vietnam is at the forefront of that. And I think you will see greater exchanges between these two leaders going forward and greater economic cooperation that will start to burgeon up, and depending on how the sanctions story goes as well, of course.
In Hanoi, Kim also met with U.S. President Donald Trump for their second summit from February 27th to 28th on bilateral relations and issues related to peace and denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. During the summit between Kim and Trump praised Vietnam's thriving economy and advised DPRK to use it as a model. Town says she believes there are plenty of models that the DPRK has been looking at and plenty of lessons for them to learn.
And that was the ASEAN interview for this week, which wraps up our program as well. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next week. As for now, สวัสดีค่ะ